That is the TheShnizNite.
If you haven't guessed by now, I'm a huge Sega fan. I love an array of Sega franchises, but my all-time favorites have to be Sonic, Knights, and Jet Set Radio. The hard part about being a Sega collector, however, is just how little merchandise there is for Sega brands outside Sonic. Sonic is a mascot, so it's easy to slap his face on anything and sell it for $10, but with Sega's other franchises, it's a bit more difficult. Which is why I always found it so intriguing that Sega had a bit of a toy line going on in the early 2000s. Now, any Sonic collector will know of the brand Joyride. Joyride made a series of video game collectibles that were rather high quality and all extremely unique. For example, they made figures of Mario and Luigi, but Luigi based on his mansion design, and Mario based on his sunshine design. Joyride also made a line of Sonic figures based on Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and these figures are highly sought after. They depict a borderline perfect Shadow figure, a prototype Sonic, and a Sonic sporting his famous soap shoes, the only figure of its kind. Joyride made a lot of incredible figures, but unfortunately they went out the door, and now all their collectibles are very rare. Little did I realize that outside Sonic, they also made figures on other Sega franchises, some of my favorites including Super Monkey Ball, Jet Set Radio Future, and even Crazy Taxi. I wanted to be the first person on YouTube to truly do in-depth reviews on all these figures and collectibles, but I can't do something this ambitious alone.
Yo, it's me, Justin.
And your boy, Aaron.
These are my two closest friends, Aaron and Justin. Aaron is the person who actually gave me a copy of Jet Set Radio and got me into that whole franchise, and Justin is the one who spent all day playing Super Monkey Ball with me and got me obsessed. It would be ridiculous to do these reviews without them, so without further ado, it's time we take a look at Joyride's Sega collectibles. Okay, I know why a lot of you are here, so first we'll be going over Joyride's Sonic Adventure 2 Battle figure of Sonic. Now, as someone who owns like 1,000 figures of the same character, this one's pretty unique, not even in terms of design, but build as well. Unlike most Sonic figures that released around this era, or even today, this Sonic figure is special as it's actually bendable. Now, this fact has actually been the point of contention between a lot of collectors for years. While I think when you add a lot of joints to a character like Sonic, he starts to lose what makes his design so great, the fact that this figure is bendable means he's very vulnerable to damage. For example, with a Jazzwares Sonic figure, as many collectors would know, if a joint pops out, like his arm or leg for example, it can usually snap right back in and boom, the figure's fixed. However, with a bendable figure, the only thing keeping it together is a flexible line of metal, and once that metal snaps, your figure's done for. It can never bend again, and continuously trying to bend it can also rip the rubber of the figure and break it. See, I would know this firsthand as I actually had this figure as a child when it came out, but I played with it so much it broke. And yeah, I mean it really broke. So having a newer version of this figure as an adult reminds me so much of my childhood, but also gives me intense anxiety, because like, I don't want to position this guy in any other poses. This thing's actually pretty fragile. With that being said though, let's get on to his sculpt. This figure is highly desired and collectible for a lot of reasons, one of them being his amazing sculpt. All around, this figure just looks amazing and really captures what Sonic looked like during the Dreamcast era. His spikes are long and sharp, and his body is very smooth and curvy in design, just like a lot of adventure art during that era. A lot of people don't like that Sonic is always looking towards the side on this figure, but I personally don't mind it. It's actually based off of this artwork right here, which makes it even more unique. Moving on to his hands, the only downside here is that they're in fists. I wouldn't be too upset about this, but Joyride's Shadow figure actually has him in a pose, doing a sort of pointing position. It just makes the Sonic seem a little bare. But that's not to say the sculpt is bad. You can actually see all his fingers, and if you even look close enough, his knuckles too. That's really cool. And of course, moving on to the shoes, it's the famous soap shoes. And man, do they look great. Not a single detail is missing in this sculpt, and he even has his treads at the bottom of his shoes. The attention to detail here is honestly amazing. What's also cool is all these details aren't just painted in, but rather sculpted in. It really gives it a sense of quality. The figure is also rather tall, standing around 6 inches or so in height. While none of the figures in this review are still in their boxes and some are missing accessories, Sonic comes with a base to stand on that actually looks like the dash panels in Adventure 2. These bases can either be red or gray. I happen to have the gray one. All in all, this Sonic figure is favored for all the right reasons. I truly do consider it like the best Sonic figure out there.
The next Sega-related action figure Joyride produced was the character Beat from the Jet Set Radio franchise. Much like how Joyride Sonic features his soap shoes to be unique, Beat's design here is based off the Jet Set Radio Future design, looking more realistic with more detail. Beat is interesting, as unlike Sonic, he isn't a bendable figure. He is posable and comes pre-positioned holding a spray can. He can swivel at the waist, move his arms back and forth, swivel his legs, and so on. As for his face, the nose just doesn't look right, and in general, I always preferred his original design. However, he does come with plastic sparks coming out of his skates, which is a nice detail. His base is supposed to be pavement, which is a really cool feature, so he can be posed in many different positions. All in all, this is a very nice figure, and very rare as Jet Set Radio merchandise is almost non-existent.
Ever played Super Monkey Ball? Yeah, it's difficult. Here we have Ai still in his bag. There were 2 versions of this release, one in-box that came with his ball, and one where he was just a giveaway in a plastic bag such as this. Either way, here he is in all of his glory. Now, of all the Sega-related Joyride figures, this is by far the shortest figure in the range. In his bag release, he unfortunately doesn't come with any accessories. It is as accurate as you can get, considering Ai has a basic design. Very interesting they put so much detail into the butt. He's got he's got a nice butt. As for posability, his design is minimal. Ai can move his arms back and forth as well as his legs, and that's about it.
Hey, come on over, have some fun with Crazy Taxi! Okay. Yeah.
We aren't done yet, however, as we have one last franchise to cover. Hey, it's Crazy Taxi! Crazy Taxi is crazy addicting, another favorite of mine on the Dreamcast. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the characters from the game in figure form, but rather the taxi itself. The taxi looks great, and as someone who is actually into modeling, I was honestly surprised by this. This could almost pass as a model car. I mean, it is budget, however. The entire thing is made of plastic, and the Crazy Taxi logo on the hood is a sticker rather than painted, but don't let those things deceive you. The car is actually rather large. It's not some Hot Wheels toy. There is detail on the seats of the taxi to really bring it to life, and even has a separately fitted steering wheel. The taxi sign up top is actually made of metal, and the chassis underneath has a great amount of detail. I am a little upset that the wheels aren't rubber and are instead plastic, but the taxi can, of course, freewheel. Unfortunately, the doors do not open, but there is detailing on the bumpers and the lights. While it would have been cool, none of the other Joyride Sega figures can actually fit inside the car. It's much too small. But as a standalone display, it looks great and serves its purpose. Well everyone, that was certainly a lot to cover, so I appreciate everyone sticking around and listening. I'd also like to thank Justin and Aaron once again for lending their voices and time to record their sections of the video. Who knows, maybe one day I'll upload a video of us playing Super Monkey Ball and screaming our heads off. Anyways, Joyride Studios was easily one of the best companies to ever make video game collectibles. They served as great toys and awesome collectibles at the same time, for children and adults. I'm happy to have grown up in an era where I was around to see these figures get released. It's incredibly unfortunate that they went defunct, however. Even though I collect Sega, their Mario and Luigi figures are honestly on my bucket list of collectibles to buy. Nowadays, all these figures and collectibles ask a pretty penny. Beat, for example, can go anywhere from $40 to $80. The Super Monkey Ball characters can go for $25 to $60. The Crazy Taxi merch is rather cheap, usually around $20 to $30. But Sonic? Whew. He can go anywhere from $60 to $200. I'm not joking, $200. If he's in box and the condition is good, yeah, you're gonna be paying above like $90 for him. To keep things cheap, I grabbed him out of the box, which is the cheaper alternative, but even then he wasn't that cheap. Every now and then you'll have an eBay seller who just puts one up and doesn't really know the value of what they're selling, so you can find him for like $15 if you're lucky. But either way, all these collectibles are very rare and it means a lot I get to own them. Well, it's summer now, which means I think I'm going to play some Super Monkey Ball and then go for a swim. So I hope you guys are enjoying the summer, we've got a lot more to go, and I hope you all have a good one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This has been the Sega Collector.